Welcome to Fortune Friday, an interview series where I speak with entrepreneurs about money, the lessons they've learned, the relationship with, and the big dreams for their business and lifestyle. My name is Connie Vanderzanden. I am a cash flow and business mentor. On today's episode, I am chatting with Dr. Nadia Brown, who's a sales strategist, consultant, trainer, and founder of the Doyenne Agency, a sales firm who works with business owners, companies, and corporations to multiply revenue and awaken the consistent closer within your sales team using her method, the consistent sales method. Nadia brings over 15 years of experience in leadership, powerful conversations, achieving goals, and respect for people to develop a comprehensive sales process to increase closing rates and satisfied client retention. Nadia's clients have seen massive results, such as raising their rates, decreasing their refund requests, and doubling or tripling their annual revenue. She lives in Phoenix, Arizona with her husband and niece. And the top three things I really enjoyed about our conversation today is that she shares a story of how she learned from her fiscally financial family member about investing very early in her young life, and that he has a big passion for that, of teaching his nieces and nephews and his kids. Then we talked about that loving numbers does not equate to a healthy relationship with money. I can attest to that. But I think the last one was that she says that it may have started as reaching a six-figure goal, but she soon learned that it was not enough. And now it's about having more flexibility of time. So how does the money in her business support that? And I think that was a really great conversation. So I hope you enjoy it today. Here's Dr. Nadia Brown. Well, welcome everybody. Today I'm talking with Nadia Brown. Hi, Nadia, or Dr. Nadia Brown. Why don't we start with the first question I love to ask people is, what is your first memory of money?
Ooh. The first memory I can think of is the Tooth Fairy.
The Tooth Fairy. And nobody has said that.
The Tooth Fairy. And
wow.
Waking up with $1 under my pillow.
Now, do you remember, did that make you want to pull your teeth so the Tooth Fairy would come after that? That was one and done.
Natural process. I'll lose a tooth. Then there's money. I was fine with that.
Interesting. Because I have known nieces and nephews that are like, if I get this out and they'll wiggle and wiggle. I'm like, don't just let it come out. So yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So you got $1. Was it a dollar coin back then, or was it, you probably
might not have. Dollar, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then did your parents teach you anything about money growing up from that point? Did you learn anything from them? Did you talk about it or anything?
It's interesting. So my early years, probably to about age 7 or 8, I actually lived with my grandparents, my mom's parents. And then when I was a little older, I moved in with my mom. So those earlier years are actually with my grandparents. And there was a lot of talk around savings and, saving money and having the piggy bank. I remember, actually having a piggy bank.
Yeah.
And learning about saving money but also having money to go to the corner store after church. And because there was a guy that had a corner store literally like within walking distance from church. And, all the kids wanted to go to buy candy. Back when you could buy candy for like a penny or a nickel, and now and later. When was the last time we talked about those?
Yeah.
So those are some of the earlier memories around money.
But did they teach you like a percentage for savings or anything, or was it?
No. Those lessons came a little later, around investing and things like that from one of my mom's brothers, actually. He was the financially fiscally responsible one in the family. The rest of us were a little wild. But, he was actually also the one that my grandparents selected to look over their finances, so helping them with their savings and how might they invest their money and helping them pay off their house, so he was that one as they started to get up in age that helped with that. And then he took it upon himself to help start training the nieces and nephews along with his own kids around money and investing.
Wow, that was pretty cool. So that happened before you got out on your own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Uncle. I mean, that's huge. Most people don't start learning about financial advising or stocks and bonds until they're, 20s and then their 30s or something, where they're asked to, join their company's 401k or something. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Did that help you love or hate numbers?
I love numbers. I love math. I have a degree in engineering. I love that piece of it. But when it comes to my own money, I have my own drama, right? I think we all do. It made me curious, I would say. It definitely left me open. Not that I always listened, but he was really big on he's really big on saving, but not taking on too much debt, not living beyond your means. Paying things off, and just some basic principles that we could all learn from. And so it really helped to start to frame that. But I also went through a rebellious period where I did none of the above. I got to college, I got a credit card. I was just living life, had 0 jobs. I was like, yeah, but $10 a month, truly I could scrape that up to pay. And it took a while to really, to figure it out. But I think that was always in the back of my mind. And even as I became a young adult and growing, continuing to grow up and just kind of going back and forth to home, he was always there to just, ask, like, you get a new car. He's like, make sure you pay the car off. And then when you pay the car off, continue to pay yourself that money,
right?
So that when you buy your next car, you can pay in cash. So those are lessons that he would, share. Didn't always listen, but it made sense. And now that I'm a homeowner and I have, it's like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
A little bit older now.
So how did he have those those were just regular conversations he would have or at a family event
random, whether it was at a family event or if I just popped in to visit, like he's going to work it in some kind of way to drop those lessons. To help us. And so that he's really big on that, and just, having those reminders. And of course, most of the time, honestly, you're just like, yeah, Uncle Braxton, love you. But as you continue to grow and you get out on your own, you're like, there was some wisdom in what he was sharing. I probably could have listened to that. So
I'm thinking that was maybe his passion around that was helping to change. Maybe he didn't word it this way of thinking that he was changing generational wealth, but obviously it was his passion to educate people around that, and especially influencing young people to have a better idea of that. Interesting that you got into debt when you were in college. I think my brother did the same. He was in the service, and it's amazing how credit card companies target the young people at those ages in those different places where you don't have anybody else overseeing what comes into your mailbox.
No, and we get credit, at least for me. I remember Connie probably my first credit card. First of all, I was too young, so they had to wait, because when I went to college, I was only 17. So they waited until I legally turned 18 to send me the card, even though they let me apply for it at 17. Just so I could get some stupid t-shirt or sunglasses or something. I was like, really? When you think back now that I'm well beyond 17, it's like, are you kidding me? Do you know you could have bought a whole lot of sunglasses for what you ended up getting yourself into with debt? So
yeah. That should be I don't think it should be a crime. That's a phrase to say, but that should be illegal to target that type of demographics for things, because most people don't know enough about credit cards or how that's used, or it seems reasonable that we should have that. I think as we are moving from a cashless society to a more credit worthy society, I think we're going to all have to change how we interact with money. So It's okay. Interesting. All right. So I know that your process is still a spreadsheet, right? Still a spreadsheet girl. Yeah.
Still a spreadsheet girl.
So are you interacting with it on a weekly basis? How are you paying attention to money? Are you doing that on a monthly? Well, because life happens and COVID,
Oh my gosh. I won't say it's weekly. I
yeah.
think it's still a little sporadic right now, at least for this season when things were a little less hectic. So, right now I have some new roles in my life, like especially caregiver.
Yeah.
But I will say, speaking of caregiver, it's really interesting because now I'm also helping to manage my mom's money.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm definitely interacting with that probably more consistently. I'm just staying on top of her stuff. And it's
Mhm.
really, again, showing me some life decisions to make. Um, but to have that, I would say weekly, maybe not daily, but on a weekly basis, just kind of check in where the cash flow is. I definitely still track when it comes in. So whenever it comes in, it's like, yes. And then, looking at expenses and when it goes out.
Yeah. Yeah. So creating that pause between the two. I love that you said that you celebrate money when it comes in. Even if
Yes,
it's just a big yes.
it is like, wow. Because one of the things that really helped my money in my business was when I started tracking it. Even though I had a coach that told me years ago, if you track and celebrate when it comes in, and it just seems so elementary to
Yeah.
me, like that couldn't be. But what you pay, it's true. What you pay attention to grows. And when I started paying attention to it and I started tracking it, it really changed the trajectory.
Yeah. Way more than paying attention to the expenses or increasing debt or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. Because when we focus on that, we focus on that lack. And it's amazing how we just attract more of that.
More of it, more of the same.
So do you have a special dance move you do when you celebrate it or anything?
Toby and I now, how many? We've been married for 12 years, and he has still been trying to get me to come up with a special happy dance. It's not but you do
Right.
get some type of reaction, like yes or whatever, woohoo! But yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, now that we know Toby's goal for you is a happy dance that you
Yes.
and you use your spreadsheet for being paying attention to your numbers. What are you doing for business goals? Like, do you have most people businesses will have a monetary goal because monetary goal helps us guide us into the bigger goal of our business. But how is your business goals working towards that? More revenue will help you. How does that help you realize your big goals?
I don't. That's a good question. I think in the beginning, as for a lot of people, it was just get to that magical six figures, right? Just
Yeah.
get to
Yeah.
100,000. And they will figure it out. And
Mm-hmm.
then it was like, I was like, 100,000 is not enough for what I want to do with my life. So where I am right now, as I'm looking at and re-engineering my business, because one of the things that I have learned this year is that my time and my time freedom and the flexibility is really important to me. Like that has, so now I'm looking at my business, not so much just from monetary,
Right.
but how does it give me the time that I desire to be able to, be with my family or to have that flexibility in my life. And now I'm working to, be more intentional about how I structure things in my business. But I'm looking at it now, not just from a dollars perspective, but from a time perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you did you're wanting more flexibility of time, which a lot of business owners fail, like I did when I grew my business and I leveraged my time and brought on team members. What I failed to do was look at the pricing on the sales to make sure that there was enough profit to help do that piece. Because a lot of I think people think if we have to work less, we'll just have to settle for less. But that doesn't always play unless you have something if you still have family revenue, financial needs, just because you're able to work less or you're because of COVID, or that people they don't have as much time to work in their business, doesn't mean we can bring less to our family
Right.
plate. So we have to make sure that's covered on both sides. So what are your big dreams? Do you have a big dream for the business?
Well,
I call it a big kahuna, but I'm trying to get away from that as anyone's listening. But what is it?
so it's funny because as I'm going through this process, I've been thinking about, going back to the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of when we first started. And there were two big things that I wanted for my dream, for my business. Was one, I wanted to create something that would outlive me,
Mm-hmm.
but also something that could operate without me. And so I could create jobs for people, but I could still bring home a decent salary, whatever that number is. And so I am, again, being in the beginning, I think I just wanted to see would it work. Could I even make this idea work? But now that, yes, it works. And I'm a little over 3 years in, I'm now reevaluating, how the dream and the vision is still the same. But again, now with that whole time perspective, and I would add, Connie, a take-home number, because sometimes we look at the business or top line revenue,
right?
But for 2021 and beyond, I want to have what does Nadia's salary look like number for my business, and having that pay me. I'm excited that I get paid. Getting a check, that was step number one. I was excited when I was able to put myself on payroll, but now I was like, I want a bigger check. And so, because I want to make a bigger contribution, to our family in that way through my paycheck. And so that it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, there is power there. I think some coach has it. It's the power of the purse. But there is power in getting paid. I remember there's a moment where I was in front of people at a mastermind, and my coach really focused, like, you have to write yourself a check. There's power in that. And I tried not to do that for a long time, but I do it now. And I actually physically write my check. Do you still write yourself an actual check, or are you transferring? Transferring.
No. I tried to do that. But I just wasn't true to myself. I would not keep that promise to myself. And so I called my accountant and I was like, I need to put myself on payroll. So I need you to do it like when I was in corporate, and every twice a month, that money comes out and it goes directly into the account. And that was the only way for me that I would stay consistent and honor myself.
Well, and I think that's great because you recognize the uniqueness that you needed in that piece. Mm-hmm. Mine, I need some tactile piece of like transferring money, so that, because as a spender, just transferring money back and forth or a paycheck, I wouldn't have that energetic connection to it. And so for me, it's writing the check. But for you, just having that automatically happen, which is what I did when I first started with savings. To build my profit savings, I had to have like just $10 a week go out, because so much was going out. so much was going out. But I like that process. It's another process I recommend to clients who aren't used to paying themselves, but they're used to paying themselves. They just don't realize it. They're using the business as a bank and pulling money out every week. And so getting them to pause and like, okay, you obviously need X from the business. We're going to take it out once or twice a month and put it in your household budget account, and then you can spend it, type of thing. So I like it. So you're on payroll. So your goal is a bigger paycheck, a business that can run without you, and one that has legacy, that has building power.
Yes.
Awesome. Those are all great dreams. All right, Nadia. I like to always end the interviews on an upward note. Do you have any inspiration to share with us? Gratitude about your business, how it contributes to your life, or money in general?
I am grateful for my business because it has afforded me the ability to drop everything and be there for my family when they need it.
Yeah.
And for it to still be able, to continue. So while there are moments when I feel like I don't have a lot of flexibility, I have more than most, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, I love that. Do you happen to have a daily gratitude practice or anything around that, or?
I wouldn't say daily. We
But on a
probably get
regular
better,
basis.
but we used to eat dinner together. It's like, when was the last time we did that? But when we would eat dinner, because even our 4-year-old would catch on. And so when we would sit down at dinner, it was, what are 3 things that you're grateful for?
Nice.
So even the 4-year-old would be like, so Auntie Nadia, what are 4 things, 3 things that you're grateful for? And she would participate too. So we probably we haven't been eating dinner together. So we'll have to get back to that first, and then we'll get back to our gratitude.
Yeah. I love that though. That's so great. Cause I do, we do get so tied up into our business and running it and servicing clients and tracking numbers that we forget sometimes to give it a little love and a little gratitude for that. So thank you for talking to me about money today. I know for everyone that's listening, though, you have a resource for them that you'd like to tell them about, but it's whensalesflatline.com. And tell them a little bit about what's going to be on there.
So when you go to the webpage, you're going to find a couple different resources, some articles, some videos, and then also a few downloadables, one of which is a calendar around 28 days to reinvigorate, remotivate your team or yourself around, sales, and when the revenue takes a dip or it flatlines, what to do to really, get back in the game.
Yeah, I love that because it happens. I mean, we've seen it more now. But yeah, it's always helpful to have a little bit of re-energizing around that. So awesome. Well, thank you again, everybody. That was whensalesflatline.com. Today's conversation has been with Dr. Nadia Brown. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie.
And thanks, everybody. And we will see you next time. Bye.